Alright guys, so there was no videos yesterday. I fell asleep on the couch. But yeah, basically, I've been busy trying to put up cameras around my house and just basically beefing up security and kind of flaked out. We've only just finished now, actually, at 6 o'clock in the morning. But let's talk about the doctor. Let's talk about the Chinese doctor who said the quiet thing out loud. Yes, I have tried to go through and find the original source for this. I can't find it on CNN's channel. I'm thinking they've probably realised how bad it looks and they've scrubbed it. But never the fear, Rumble is here to save the day. There are obviously a few other people on talking about this on YouTube at the moment. But let's listen to what this Chinese doctor says about the Chinese flu and why she thinks vaccinations are important. And we'll obviously break it all down afterwards.
Clear to them that the vaccine is the ticket back to pre-pandemic life. And the window to do that is really narrowing. I mean, you were mentioning, Chris, about how all these states are reopening. They're reopening at 100%. And we have a very narrow window to tie reopening policy to vaccination status. Because otherwise, if everything is reopened, then what's the carrot going to be? How are we going to incentivize people to actually get the vaccine? So that's why I think the CDC and the Biden administration needs to come out a lot bolder and say, if you're vaccinated, you can do all these things. Here are all these freedoms that you have. Because otherwise, people are going to go out and enjoy these freedoms anyway.
Right, so that's the carrot, guys. Now, let's talk about the stick that the carrot is attached to. Right, so let's break this down.
Clear to them that the vaccine is the ticket back to pre-pandemic life.
So the vaccine is the ticket back to pre-pandemic life. But we're not just going to let people build up a natural herd immunity to it. No. Bill Gates can't make his money doing that. What we're going to do is go through and we're going to make sure that everybody gets the vaccine. Bill Gates gets his money, you get the vaccine, and then you can go back to your normal life. Now, if you don't have that, if you don't have the vaccine, well, there's no ticket to you back to normality. It's a case of get the vaccine, go back to being normal, or you're an outcast. We were warning about this. Let's get going.
And the window to do that is really narrowing. I mean, you were mentioning, Chris, about how all these states are reopening. They're reopening at 100%.
Now, all these states are reopening at 100%. And that's bad. Because if all these states are opening and everybody has all these freedoms, well then, what's the point of the vaccine? We have to make it so that people get the vaccine in order to have these freedoms. She literally says that in about 2 minutes. And at the end of the day, you can't have that with these states. Now, the big question everybody should be asking is, well, it's weird how everybody was jumping on Texas and Florida and everything for opening up, isn't it? It's really, really weird that everybody was going on about how they were going to kill everybody. No, mind you, the death toll for coronavirus for Texas and for Florida hasn't changed much. In fact, you go through and compare Florida to California, similar sort of populations and density, and there's not much of a difference between those two states, considering one of them had massive lockdowns and everything like that, and the others virtually stayed open for the most part. Sorry. So if these lockdowns and everything were to make a big difference, you would think that Florida would have more cases, more deaths, but they don't. There's no real difference between the two. And we also have Texas now, where it's the similar thing. There's no real change in death counts between them and, say, California. These are big cities. So at the end of the day, why is that? Well, lockdowns don't seem to be working. Mind you, now we also know that coronavirus only lasts about 30 seconds to a minute out in the sun. So if you wanted everybody to get over coronavirus, Yeah, you can wash your hands every minute or so. Or you can go out and play in the sun. Play in the basketball courts. Whatever it may be. Makes you wonder why they want to keep everybody indoors if the cleansing rays of the sunlight were so good, eh? But let's keep going.
And we have a very narrow window to tie reopening policy to vaccination status.
We have a very narrow window to tie vaccination status to reopening. The words are interesting there. She said to tie vaccination status to reopening. Now, at the end of the day, if you're tying something to something, it doesn't necessarily mean it's true. For example, if I was to go through and say, hey, a couple of my ex-girlfriends have cheated on me, therefore, I'm going to assume that all girls will cheat, for example. That would be me tying their infidelity to a previous example. Doesn't necessarily always work. It's not always the case. So it's interesting the word that she uses there is tying, because it doesn't even sound like it's actually, in her case, it doesn't even really sound like it's believable. Now keep in mind, this girl is also a Chinese medical doctor too, and this is the Chinese flu, so
Because otherwise, if everything is reopened, then what's the carrot going to be? How are we going to incentivize people to actually get the vaccine? So that's why I think the CDC and the Biden administration needs to come out a lot bolder and say, if you're vaccinated, you can do all these things. Here are all these freedoms that you have. Because otherwise, people are going to go out and enjoy these freedoms anyway.
Wow.
But I would be...
Let's break that last part down, because that was kind of a really loud moment.
Clear to
So let's listen to what she says again.
them that the vaccine is the ticket back to pre-pandemic. These freedoms that you have. Because all these things, here are all these freedoms that you have. Because otherwise, people are going to go out and enjoy these freedoms anyway.
Here's all these freedoms you have if you get vaccinated. Okay, if I don't get vaccinated, am I still going to have those freedoms? No. It's weird, that, isn't it? It's like they're tying freedoms to vaccination status. Who would have thought? Oh, wait, we did when it first came out over a year ago. Look, at the end of the day, we obviously knew this was going to be the plan, was that them go through and, for example, and try and link some sort of vaccination to the possibility of going back to normality. The problem is that at the end of the day, not everyone wants to get the vaccination. I don't want to get it. I don't want the risk of blood clots for the certain vaccinations or whatever it may be. I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I just don't want to participate in a medical science study, which is literally what this vaccination is. It's a study. They literally have the end of the vaccination study is 24 or whatever it is, 2024. Like, it's still going to be going on as a case study for 2 years after everybody's got it. So, what does that tell you? But at the end of the day, I don't want to go through it, and I don't want to get the vaccination. I would just rather take my chances, catch corona, and let my body fight it naturally. And I think we're all better off for that. But obviously that doesn't make Bill Gates rich. Me having a couple of days off sick, getting over corona naturally, Bill Gates ain't going to like that one. Bill Gates ain't going to make a lot of money off that one. So now we have to go through and we have to tie vaccination status to freedoms. I thought America was supposed to be land of the free. Apparently not anymore. Now obviously, look, at the end of the day, it's interesting that I can't find this interview on CNN. Makes me wonder if they've sort of realised, like, oh, wait, hang on. She said all the quiet bits out aloud. She wasn't supposed to say that sort of stuff. I think she's just passionate about the vaccination and kind of got swept away in the rhetoric. But at the end of the day, the fact is that it's said, it's been recorded, and, well, it's on Rumble at least. And it's starting to pop up all over YouTube. So good luck deleting it from there. But at the end of the day, this is their plan. Get vaccinated, or you can't even do anything. You don't have any freedoms. It's weird. I didn't think the Constitution of the United States came with an asterisk. I thought it just said, everybody's young and free. That might be an Australian one. But you know what I mean. Guys, let me know what your thoughts are in that comment section below. Obviously, this video has been helpful. Please smack that like button. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Apart from that, guys, we will see you in the next demonetized video from YouTube. Have a great night and enjoy.